Welcome to the Aquarian Shaman Broadcast. I'm Star Wolf, your shamanic host, and I'm here to teach you how to transform yourself and transform the world. Twice a month, we'll be exploring how to develop shamanic psycho-spiritual practices to support transformation while expanding your energy field in a way that can also support others. Each episode offers dynamic experiential guidance and teachings on how to safely enter a natural altered state of consciousness using the sacred breath. Additionally, we will discuss the importance of integration and grounding this medicine into your everyday life. Stay tuned. We're about to create authentic embodied change that will surely grow corn for the future generations. So I want to welcome our audience today, and we're beginning, as I always begin, in sacred ceremony. While this may sound like an interview, the truth is it's Aquarian shamans coming together to create magic, mischief, and mystery, and connecting to the great mystery. And so one of the ways that we begin is to burn some herbs. This specifically is white sage. Can burn many different kinds of things, but this is one of my favorites. And in many traditions, burning the sage is a way to clear the air, to clear out whatever's going on, whatever distractions, and to just put it into the smoke and watch it go from this world and to the other. And so we release that. In my very first episode, I spent the entire episode calling in each direction, explaining the medicine wheel and all the directions. And so that is set for a whole year, Vera. And now when we come in, the spirits they're holding it all the time like a medicine wheel does. And we just do this smudging, which you're well versed in. And we have a beautiful swan feather that was a gift. And this creature passed a normal life, I guess you could say, until someone found it in Iceland, who's a friend and a student, and it became this beautiful wand to fan that smoke into the other dimensions. And I think you could smell it, Vera, that it also awakens up ancient memories inside of us. So today I am so excited to have my dearest shamanic sister, troublemaker, magic woman, Aquarian shaman, Vera Lopez. And I want to read to you a little bit about Vera because she is so incredible. And if I start talking about it, I'll spend the whole hour on who she is, what she's accomplished in her life, who she's served, all those things. But instead, I'm going to come to her bio and that I have right here and just share. I'm going to skip over a little bit of it, but I'm going to try and hit the highlights because there's things I want you to know about Vera Lopez and that I treasure about her and honor her. So the Aquarian shamans, rising, weaving ancient wisdom for a new world. And oh, don't we need one now? Okay. Vera Lopez is an internationally respected spiritual guide, teacher, and author whose life's work bridges ancient wisdom with modern consciousness. Born with a deep sense of connection to spirit, Vera's childhood in Brazil was shaped by mystical experiences that opened her heart to the unseen world. From an early age, she felt called to explore the hidden truths of the soul. Guided by profound mentors in shamanic and mystical traditions who taught her that true wisdom lives in the heart, not just studied with the mind. This is why we're sisters. In 1989, Vera founded Spirits of the Earth, a spiritual travel organization devoted to creating sacred journeys of transformation. And that same year, she was first called to Peru, a call that has never left her. What began as one journey became a lifelong devotion. This is really amazing, you all, so pay attention. Vera has led, it says hundreds, I would say thousands of people and hundreds of pilgrimage to the sacred valley of Machu Picchu, Cusco, Lake Titicaca, and beyond. She's trained with Andean shamans and befriended medicine peoples there, learning directly from the elders about reciprocity and the living earth and the shamanic path of the heart. Her book, Shamanic Mysteries of Peru, just happen to have a copy here. The Heart Wisdom of the High Andes, co-authored with Linda Starr-Wolf, myself, is her co-author, and published by the prestigious Inner Traditions. It is a culmination of these decades of experience in weaving the teachings of the Andes with the universal path of spiritual awakening. And I just want to say before I move on, thank you for including me in your book, Vera, and honoring me and allowing me to make some contributions. Your wisdom there is unparalleled, so I just want to thank you for that. Vera is also a shadow work specialist, and this is really important, especially now on the planet. And I know that she studied with the best people around that. She is a priestess and highly intuitive guide. She invites people to release the patterns that no longer serve them and to move into authentic power. Vera has also created mystery schools and immersive retreats that help seekers embody Christ consciousness. And I, too, have a very strong connection to the Christ consciousness, so I feel that we meet there as well, Vera. And I grew up in one kind of Christianity, but it's evolved into something else, such as yours. She integrates the shamanic wisdom and awakens hearts with this wisdom. So, just another little piece here. Her own journey has been enriched by powerful connections with teachers such as Starr-Wolf, with whom she has trained in shamanic breathwork and transformation practices. It was during one of these trainings in Sedona that Vera first met her dear soul sister and interviewer, moi, forming an instant connection that carried us together to Peru, I've been to Peru several times, and it's unparalleled being with you. Also to Glastonbury, which was another amazing journey with you, Vera. Thank you. And now, soon, to France, to walk in the footsteps of Mary Magdalene, which I'm going to ask you to talk about a little bit later on, because I'm really realizing that she's always been with me. And I'm looking forward to diving into that mystery with you when we go next year, but even before then, too. So Vera is now in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. And she's birthing, and I'm seeing it, watching it all over the social media, new community projects. No matter where she goes, this is what she does. And creating a place for seekers and pathfinders to walk the way of spirit together on this earth. She's expanding in so many ways, and the things we've talked about. In every way, Vera Lopez, my friend, my shamanic sister and colleague, is an Aquarian shaman. A woman weaving the ancient with the modern, carrying wisdom across the borders, got chills on that one, offering everyday practices every day of magic and remembrance to people all around the world. I bow to you and acknowledge you for your incredible commitment, no matter what, as Grandmother Twyla Nitsch of the Seneca Wolf clan would say, doing what you're doing even when your butt is falling off. Grandma just tell it the way it is. She said that's when you know you're a shaman, nothing else. But when you continue to do it, when everything else is falling apart, and sometimes yourself, and you're still walking the path and staying true to your heart. So with that, welcome, sister. So glad you're here today.
Thank you. What an honor to be invited to be in this space with you. Thank you.
So I'm noticing, thank you for being here. I'm noticing you have, it looks like some Egyptian All
Yes.
energy
Yes.
back there. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So I love that too. I know we both have a passion around Egypt as well as Peru and other places around the world. But before we get to maybe more of the mysteries and that sort of thing, I think that, because this particular program, I wanted to dedicate it to Aquarian shamans and what that means. It's not just another kind of airy fairy, quickie thing to make up and say or do or whatever. But many, 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 many years ago, my teacher, Jacqueline Small, my breathwork teacher, over 40 years ago, she's 90 now. She just had her 90th birthday. She is the one who said all those years ago, the age of Aquarius is coming. She said, a lot of people are talking about Aquarius now, but it's not here. And she said, but the age of Aquarius is coming. She said, I figure it'll be here around 2000, somewhere around there. Like 2001 Space Odyssey. And that's about the time it's going to come. And she said, but when it comes, there's going to be a lot of upheaval. There's going to be a lot of life and birth and death and rebirth, because that's what birth looks like. Birth is messy. Death is messy. And living is definitely messy.
Yes.
And we're going to need the ancient wisdom, but we're also going to need to grow up into who human beings came here to be. The keepers of the garden, the protectors, the ritualists, the ceremonialists, the healers, the shamans. That it's time for us, just like the tallest redwoods, to grow up, or the greatest animals in nature, to take on our own planetary service, but also our royalty, and to remember that we are all great mysteries children. But now it's time for us to be great mysteries adults.
Yes.
And to me, that's what the Aquarian shaman is. It's us deciding, as we say in some circles, to put on this for men too, our big girl panties, and to really show up, especially now. So with that, I would thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for hearing the call around shamanic breathwork and being a shamanic minister and all the things that you added into your already very full medicine chest. So that's one of the things I want to make clear, that you have been on this for a very long time, and that I feel very, very touched and supported and acknowledged by you as you have reached out to me and as I have reached out to you. So truly, I feel we are Aquarian shaman sisters.
Yes. I agree. I agree.
So in the beginning, I talked a little bit about your beginnings, and people like to hear that. When I just did an interview yesterday, a person interviewed me, and that's the first thing I wanted to know. How did you get from A to Z? And where are you going now, or that sort of thing, or who are some of your teachers, or those kind of things. So the thing I want to ask you to share with us a little bit is, how did this little girl, who is obviously very magical, how did she find her way to where you are now? Who were the influences? What were the places along the way? And just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to share that journey. And it is true. I have that very deep relationship with that sacred little girl, because she's really sacred. Uh, a few days ago, my birthday is coming, and so when it's close to my birthday, I always like to look into pictures when I was a child, and I was looking at her in her eyes, and I really was recognizing her, magic, and how she was present even then. And I feel that that's one of the important things. When we talk about self love, I feel that it's very important for us to look into our children's picture and look into the soul of those child that it has been there in that field where we think we forgot it, that's long is in the past, but it's not. Is with us. I think all the pieces of ourselves is with us and within us. And I feel that acknowledging that support us to see how each moment of our life has been a giver. giving so much so we could become who we are now, and in each step deliver what was our mission or our gift to this lifetime. So that little girl was magical, and it's interesting because I end up growing up and being a talker. I speak and I teach, and not honestly my choice. It was really that was out calling me, inviting me to do that, because I'm actually a very quiet person. I love to be within and be
Mm.
quiet, reserve, and not out there. But life has a mission to accomplish, and this use us in a very good way because we had said yes, volunteer to be a contribution. And I feel that the little girl that was very quiet but very connected to his spirit had to go through many initiations, as we, are awake, know that we go through those portals. So one of my first initiation was starting to look and seeing the realms of the other side, the other. Today we know there's physical and the non-physical, and obvious at that time I didn't had an awareness of what was physical and non-physical, and so having spirits and fairies and gnomes and entities and all of that surrounding me, I start to realize that other people was not seeing that, and so I got even more quiet because I said people will think that I am a strange little girl, so I better be quiet so I do not get, because of course you are afraid of being judged or being
Yeah.
rejected because you are weird. And so I grew up with those relationships and still not understand them pretty well. But then when I went to school in Brazil, I'm Brazilian, and in Brazil back then, you start your year school when you are 7. So when I was 7, I start school and was a Catholic school. So it's like a church that teaches the girls. And so my teacher was a nun. And I loved that environment because it was an environment where I felt not only safe, but I felt I could develop an intimacy with something divine that I could not understand.
Mm.
So all the children are playing on the break, and I am in the church. Now, I don't know what I'm doing in the church because I didn't really know how to pray or why should I pray, or none of that made sense. All what I knew was I felt comfortable. I felt safe. I felt peace. I felt something that was old within me that now I understand was me recognizing that I have been a priestess for many lives, and
Mm.
being in altars or being in holy places, it has been part of my spiritual journey, throughout eternity. So I have many lives there. The long afterwards I recognize and discover, especially when I grew up and started to do past life regressions and things like that. So the church really was my beginning. I started there, and then, I go through life until I lose my father. My father died when I was 16, and he was a very deep connection. I had a very deep connection with my father. And when he died, then things shifted dramatically because now I start to see him. And then it was no longer a fantasy where I see gnomes and fairies, but I see my father. And I go, I will start to be scared, and then I was guided to a spiritual center because in Brazil we have, like, in every block, and I'm not kidding you, every block has a spiritual center because I think God, we joke in Brazil that if you are going to be a channel, you know, you are in line to be rebirthed, and they say Brazil, Brazil. If it's channel, go to Brazil. So all the channels end up in Brazil. And that's why Brazil has such an incredible amount of centers and support for people that have this ability to connect it with these extra senses. So I was in that center for 14 years, and my teacher really was one of the greatest channels of Brazil. And he was a psychologist, and he was the first person bringing to Brazil the integration of spirituality and the psychology. You know what later on we learn from Louise Ray or other teachers in the United States. He was already teaching us
Mhm.
back when I was 18 years old. So he, and because through him we was learning from spirits was coming through him and teaching us. So I felt very privileged to have my beginning into this spiritual journey in really being taught by spirits through Gasparetto. And so I was there for 14 years. And then one day he decided to say, hey, why don't we go to Machu Picchu? And as many people feel the call and think that they have this like in a bucket list, they go, so one day I'm going to go to Machu Picchu. I had that too. And one day I heard the word, I said yes. So we was 50 Brazilians. Imagine, it was one of the wildest dress. Very wild, amazing because everybody's psychic, everybody's full of sensibility. So we go to Peru. And this was back then when Machu Picchu pretty much was ours. There was nobody else there, just us. So we could do ceremony. We slept in Machu Picchu because we chose to stay there at night and do, connected with spirits. And we have amazing experience. By the way, I write about this. That is a very beautiful event that happened in our book. That's part of my opening there for people to understand the mysteries of Peru, that especially in Machu Picchu, that was a university for chosen women to develop high levels of spirituality. So I feel that my initiation in this holistic alternative really started there because my first 14 years was studying more life after life. And then when I went to Peru, I started to study more life underground in the earth,
Mm.
the spirits of the earth, the shamans, the tribal, and and that the connection between heaven and earth. And then that's what I have been doing since 89, is study that. And not only study, but being practicing with the shamans in Peru, because for 36 years I am there leading journeys, sharing ceremonies with them, being initiated over and over and over again, receiving so many blessings, many initiations from them. So I feel like I have been downloaded with so much. And now I feel very quiet about it, going after so many things. I am more like in the moment of that, it's important for me to give more because I feel like I have so much. I'm still so full, and I feel that I needed to start to put out, because you never know, right, Star Wolf? When we are blessed to get where we are right now, I'm turning 68 in a few days. I feel that you really don't know when we are leaving, so better do my
Mhm.
sharing before I get there. So I feel right now is an important time. That's why I am starting this center here in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, and always now my focus is in the giving. And I feel that I love this book that you wrote about the Aquarian shaman, because that's what I feel. The Aquarian shaman is, to me, is that soul that have committed to be in touch with all that the field, the magical mystery field give it to us, but also is to give, because we the life now needs us. This planet more than ever need us to be the pillars of life. And I feel that one of the things that connected us with Mary Magdalena is that, because I feel Mary Magdalena is one of the Aquarian shamans,
Mm.
because a lot of people look at Mary Magdalene, if they are not lost into the thing that she was a prostitute and thinks that that's not
Yes.
the real story. If they know who she is and know that she was this Christ consciousness, when we see now that in the year of 2025 there is thousands of, especially women, we have a lot of men, but especially women being called everywhere in the planet to connect it with her. Some knows why, some don't know why, But when I see her, I see a Aquarian shaman because she is the one that is going to be helping us to move through the portals that is ahead of us with the grace, with that wisdom, and with what really matters. That is the wisdom of the heart. That was the teaching of Jesus. It was her teaching, and is ours, right? Is that's what we represent. So the journey has many details, of course, but that's pretty much like jumping from a little girl to the one that starts spiritism in Brazil, to the one that starts in the shamanism when I start in Peru, into the one that is now that is putting all that together and just say, how can I serve? What can I give today?
Vera, thank you for that beautiful, taking us on a beautiful journey. That's exactly what I wanted. And that's what I love when people come on, if they will allow themselves to do that and not just focus about this, I'm doing that, but to go back to their roots, what their inspiration was, and how it helps us to see that all along in our DNA and in our genes and in our hearts, and if you will, that just like it's within the rose seed planted to blossom, that all along, this is where we've been coming as, I believe, as human beings. This is our evolution, the possibility that we could rise up from very primitive states of consciousness. I do believe there's been much higher levels of consciousness on this plane at different times, but there's been cataclysms, on this earth for, billions of years. They say this may be the fourth or fifth time of extinction on this planet, or near extinction. But each time that everything dissolves and comes back, like the Hindu teach with the Kali Yuga and those kinds of things, and other traditions as well, this is a shamanic planet. It's all about birth and death and rebirth in between. And so we know we're going to be born if we're here, and we're going to die someday. Our bodies are. But are we ever really going to live? Are we really going to just do the 9 to 5, which there's nothing wrong with that. I've done it. My family's done it. I understand that at times. But is that going to be the main thrust of who we are? Or is there something else? And do we take the time and the energy to know that the most important thing on this earth, I believe, is to know who we really are and to fall into alignment of becoming who it is that we are, instead of being a daffodil pretending to be a rose, or a rose pretending to be an oak tree, that we admire, we respect everything, large and small, but the uniqueness and beauty of all things, and the uniqueness and beauty of our own souls blossoming. Just looking at you today, you look like a beautiful flower. I'm looking at you, you just look like a beautiful, some sort of exotic, tropical flower that's in her full bloom. And when you talked about being full, oh, sister. Whoa. When I did the interview that with someone else yesterday that I was being interviewed, I was so full. I was just like I was going to explode. And I appear on a lot of shows and I talk a lot. No shocker there. But sometimes it's like I just have to just stop, because it's like, enough already. How do you cover that many years? Because you have been on this path since you were the little girl. You were born this way, baby, as Lady Gaga would say. But you have been on that path in that Catholic church as a little girl, being in the church instead of out playing with the kids. You have been on that path, with the spiritual centers on every corner. I mean, everything you shared shows that the universe had extreme wisdom about placing you right where you are with just the right heartache and heartbreak and just the amount of disillusionment and everything there to catch you and to say, this way, Vera, this way. But the biggest thing, because I've got chills in my body when I just said that, many are called, but few are chosen. What that really means is many are called, but some just don't answer. Because the chosen is about those who choose.
Yes.
We're all God's children. We're all Goddess's children. We're all chosen. But we have to choose and find the courage. And you have found that. The one thing that I'm most envious with you is that you got to go to Peru when it was so virgin and primitive, and sleep there And even, when we went, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, when it really started becoming popular, I mean, you were going it before people even knew what it was, but let's say 20 years ago when it really started, and now it's like Disney World in some ways. And I don't mean
Yeah.
harm, but there's a truth to that, the shadow to that.
Yeah.
But when you made those pilgrimages there, they were pilgrimages, and you were
Yes.
connected with the people, and you were doing the ceremonies and the rituals, and there was no even controversy about you being able to do that with those people there and the people, teachers that were there with you and that sort of thing. And now today it's fenced in. It's like you get a ticket, you go through, they
Yeah.
rush you along the way. When we were there last time, it made me not want to go back anymore. I know that it's a beautiful country and I honor it, and I still think people can get a lot out of it. But I personally want to hold the memory of what I had with you there, where we were doing ceremonies and things and could spend a long time in an area and all those things. And I understand the changes that are happening, but I'm so grateful. I'm so
Mhm.
grateful that you were captured by it and you captured the essence of it. So I feel
Yes.
like if I want to know more about Peru, I'll come to you. I don't need to go to Peru.
Mhm.
It's those
Mhm.
mysteries are living inside of you, you know.
Yes.
The demonic mysteries of Peru, they are
Yes.
carried by you. And the
Yes.
same is true, Vera, not only with you, but with I've been interviewing a lot of people that are true shamans like you and that are Aquarian shamans. And this is a lot of their story too. They have some similar backgrounds. We all kind of knew we were called as a child. We weren't sure just exactly what. We had divine synchronicities along the way, the breadcrumbs that we couldn't ignore. We had the
Yeah.
heartbreaks, the deaths, the rebirths. And then we arrive at this point. I'll be 73 this year. I'm your
Yeah.
older sister in
Yeah.
some ways, but um I feel like so full and so eager to give it away as
Mhm.
much as possible.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
tell us um, how are you finding a way to empty out? You spoke a little bit about the center you're creating. Maybe
Mhm.
you'll be working on a new book. Maybe we'll work on a new book together. Who knows? You know,
Yes.
I mean, but what's your dreams now? We've got this up to the present. So, and we're, we can talk a little bit more about Magdalene before we end. And we've only got like
Mhm.
15 minutes left. I can only believe that. But
Yeah, I know.
tell us about your dreams, your visions, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Magdalene towards the end.
Mhm. Well, here's how it works for me. Again, because I am a very quiet and I spend a lot of time within, I I ask to serve. And what I keep hearing over and over is that spirits is guiding us to, like you said, we are being chosen. We just need to choose to say yes. And my yes now is with humble in my heart to say, if there is anything that my journey had uh, enrich my life and can enrich yours, I'm willing to offer that. And just like you, that's why I feel like we are that close as a sister, because we are doing our best to say everything that I accumulate, I'm giving through my teachings,
Mm,
through my retreats, through my journeys, right? And so through these opportunities, we are giving the pearls of wisdom that we have received, nurture, allowed to grow, and then we share that. Now, for me, it's very important right now, Star Wolf, that the people recognize that you and I are like, oh my God, honestly, uh, a blessing. And I say that with all my heart because we are here in a moment. I always say, I am in the tail of the dragon. And so I never know how long this tail is, okay? So I better make each moment very
yeah.
special. So I'm very aware of when I'm giving, I am giving to those that are open their hearts to receive.
Mm,
Because I'm very aware that a whole lifetime of deep commitment I have to honor that. When I give, it's not about who is receiving, but am I honoring and giving it? What I'm giving through the journeys, the retreats, the teachings. I'm downloading pretty much through Mary Magdalena a oracle that is prayers and it's the interpretation of the Bible through her point of view. But I am feeling that because Machu Picchu started to become overwhelmed for me because of what you mentioned, I just wait for where is, if there is a place for me to serve. And right now, I feel very strong what we are doing in the south of France because it's
Mm.
peaceful, it's quiet, and it's a completely different sacred environment where those that are being called to be there is those that have the awareness and have come into the yes in their hearts to say, you know what, my spirits are important and we do have to survive. So we give a lot of our time and energy into working, to making a living, to pay for the food, the house, and the needs.
Right. It's a
But
lot.
we are,
It's a Herculean
right?
task.
And when we give ourselves to the spirit, because we must, it's so important that we do not forget that we are spiritual beings. And so these journeys that we offer is the opportunity for them to go so deep and listen to that wisdom. So what is for me now is how I'm always looking for how can I help others to listen, because even I was watching that series The Chosen, and towards one of the last series, like last episodes that I watched, I remember a scene of Jesus with his mother, and Jesus was really unhappy or ancient or whatever. I don't even know how to describe it, but he was really in a breakdown. And the mother, very wise, just quiet, asked, what is happening to you, son? And he said to his mother, they do not listen. I have
Mm.
12 apostles that I have loved and give everything that I have to them. I have taught them, I had showed them how to just be who they truly are, right? That is the healer, the presence, the divine presence on this earth. And they have played that in many different levels. And I am telling them, because Jesus was telling them that is the moment that he's going to be sacrifice is coming, right? And nobody's pay attention, and he's giving many signs and many words of that, and they are not listening because they don't want to hear. So the
Right.
thing is that when Jesus say they do not listen, so
Right.
I know we didn't even listen to Jesus. So I'm not saying that people want to listen to me or to you, but my prayer is
Yes.
that they do listen to their hearts, that they listen to their souls, they listen to the part of themselves that are asking for something beyond the ordinary wake up, blah, 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 and go to sleep.
Mm.
That's my prayer. So today, when I devoted myself to a ceremony, to a ritual, to a retreat, it's my prayer. I pray for people to listen to their hearts, listen to the soul, listen to the wisdom that is inside of them, asking them what they needed to open up the divine connection, and then just know they are that one with divine, and then they can just walk, as the contribution, and perform the mission they came to perform. So that's what is today for me most important.
That's so beautiful, Vera. You just really defined the Aquarian shaman, the one who's answering the call of their soul and their heart's path. And we it's true we have to chop wood and carry water. We have to figure out how to pay the bills. Some people have children, grandchildren. I have grown children, and I have lots of grandchildren. And I have lots of, like you, adopted grandchildren, and like many of the students. And what I heard you really talking about is a lineage, that
Mhm.
you've been committed to the lineage and the various streams of consciousness that have created that lineage. And, it feels like to me, for myself, I won't speak for you, that, I have this stream of this lineage of ancient wisdom through the sacred breath with, Stan Groff and Leonard Orr and Jackie Small. And I've been with all of them and connect with all of them. But Jacqueline was my main teacher and is still with us. And then there's also the lineage of the shamanic lineage and the Wolf Clan teachings with Grandmother Twyla and others as well, different elders that I've worked with. But primarily the Wolf Clan teachings is what grabbed my soul and really called to me. And I had mystical experience that led me to that, or that wouldn't have been the case. But there's those mystical things that call you and you don't know why. And that's when you really have to trust your heart. Mm-hmm. And, this call to go to France, to southern France, and to be, and not that we can't be with Magdalene wherever we are on the planet. Of course we can. She's within us. She's without her spirit, but to actually go to the place where her footprints are, her footsteps are still echoing her love and her wisdom. And I really see her, as the feminine side of Christ, and equal. Yeah, and that sort of thing. And I wrote about her years ago without knowing who she was when I was at Matthew Fox's school 40 years ago, 35, 40 years. But I didn't know that's who. I was calling her Sophia. But now when I look at it, I realize it was Magdalene, and they all fold into each other. So I feel this calling as well. And you have really answered the call. And I've answered it in my own way. But now I want to answer it more directly. And I believe that there's other women, such as myself, who maybe lots of teachers who realize now is the time to really make sure that they're coming from the sacred feminine. The sacred masculines had a long time, it's we're not kicking them out, unless we have to. But anyway, the sacred feminine, it's her time to have her voice be heard in the world, no matter how much it's tried to be repressed by other forces. But the only way to do that I know of, is to answer the call and then to see where that call takes me. And for me, this will be I've been to France before, but I have not explored Magdalene there. I've explored her in my heart. I've read things, I've studied, but I've not walked in her footsteps in that way. Mm-hmm. And also my partner, my husband, Nicholas is going with us because he feels called to her too. And he feels called to the Christ energy. That esoteric Christ energy. So I know there's something that's going to be powerfully revealed for me personally. And Nicholas feels that as well. Yes. And then to have a beautiful, intimate group of kindred spirits who also answer the call. And I know we have a few spaces left for a few people to join us. To make that sacred pilgrimage with a smaller group and to walk in these footsteps of the ones who knew the way. Yes. Okay, the shaman means the way shower, feels like my own personal next step. I'm a channeler, so I just know that all kind of stuff's going to come through. But mainly, I just want to open and receive. And at the same time, they'll be offering shamanic breathwork to people and being there with people and having good food and laughing and talking and enjoying the beautiful nature that we're going to be in. Yes. So I think I'm looking forward to that more than anything I can think of right now in my life, and to spend that time with you in that magical place and to see it through your eyes and your devotion that you have given to this space is going to be magnificent. So in the next 5 minutes as we conclude, is there anything that you would like to share? Thank you for saying so much about your lineage. One more little caveat. For those of you who are listening, if you don't have a lineage, I encourage you. Okay, so we've got a little bit longer. We got 10 minutes anyway. But if you don't have a lineage in your life, maybe you didn't have a spiritual upbringing or whatever. Maybe nature, that's very much a lineage. But if you haven't had a direct lineage where you learned from some others as well, it's important to have the didactic as well as the esoteric. To read the old text, to explore, to have nature as your teacher, have animals as your teachers, have other souls who've gone before you as teachers, and to open yourself if they're trustworthy, and to humble yourself in the sense to make humble means come close to hummus to the earth, to kneel to the earth, and to come as not as a servant or a slave, but to come humbly with an open mind and an open heart and say, fill me up, fill me up, divine spirit, lead me, guide me to where and who and what, so that I may take that next level of that next leap of faith and continue to evolve as a conscious being on this planet and remembering who I really am. So that's where I'm going to end for myself at this moment, and give you, the last words here in the last few minutes. Is just say that here I am, going to be 73 in December. I'll be going to Egypt next month, taking a group. We're going to France. You're taking people to different places next year, other besides that, and many other things that we're doing. These are years we could be retired, keep feet propped up, and yet here we are. And there's just no way that's not going to happen. That we're going to do that. We might prop our feet up a little bit more than usual, and take better care of ourselves than we did when we were younger. But there's no way. I remember Grandmother Twyla, she passed when she was 93. And I said, Grandma, are you going to retire? And she said, when I die, yes. I will lay down and retire.
Yeah.
So I'll put this back to you. What's anything there that's stirred for you, or that's meaningful, or anything that you want to share?
I think for me, Star Wolf, is that what I see is that all of us through life wants the same. We want a relationship. We want some want a family, and so you have a partner, and then you have children. Was not my case. I didn't have children, but I didn't even want a relationship, but it happened, and then I honor, because I was a very free spirit. But then I honor, and I understood how much I have to learn through a relationship. But I wanted everything that other people want. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be prosper. Right? So this happiness and health and prosperity and connection, and it comes, but it comes when we work on it. It's just not, you sit here and will come. We need to do something about it. And it's not going to happen. It does not work that way. We both know, because we have already gone through it. So we can be a testimony that it's not going to happen unless we decided to create the happiness, create the abundance, create the health. So to be healthy, you have a series of actions to take. To be happy, there is actions to take. And to be connected, there is actions to take it. So whatever it is that people are living, I feel that it's important to balance. We have heard, many people heard this phrase, that we are a spirit having a human life, having a human body and a human life. But if we all look and we spend 90% of our time on the human and only maybe 10 to the spirit, we are not in balance. We are out of it. And one of the things that I learned super important in the Indies and with the Indies people is the law of Aini. The law of Aini is a law of reciprocity, is where things are in balance. You give and you receive. You give and you receive. There is balance on both sides. And for me, it's super important. I was born on September 22nd. That is the day, where the day and the night has equal amount of time. So being in balance has been important for me. And I feel is important for all of us, because if we also become too much spiritual and are denying our earth life, we are not in the balance. So what I invite your followers is to have a moment of silence and say, how are you creating your happiness? How are you creating your prosperity, that you feel that you want to be abundant in this life, or your joy? I feel that one of the most important things truly is that we get supported. because
Mm,
we are not born with a manual. You and I got so many beautiful wives. So I have been there for you. You have been there for me. Part of my joy in realization and this book, it came because of you. And if
mm,
I didn't have you as my guide, as my mentor, as my godmother, I would not have that fulfillment. So we don't do things alone. We
mm,
must look for people that have done, that are happy with what they have created because they created with the hands of others, and now we have our hands here giving to others. So I say to people, look for those that are committed, um, to be part of your life and support you in your fulfillment, in your growth, in your development, your expansion. Enjoy us into whatever we are giving because our pearl of wisdom. And they are really honest, they are from the heart, and they really have an intention to that it is not about me. It's not about me. I'm very content. It's about how I can support, how can I help, because you mean something, you are important. And that's my final thing is, um, without me giving, I'm not fulfilling my own. So it's a selfish giving, but
mhm.
it's a selfish giving that I know that keeps giving and making a contribution. Um so that's what it is. I love contribution, and I hope that through your work people can receive so much, and I feel that through mine as well. So I'm very happy and blessed to be here and to be able to offer, if there is a connection, if there is something that was said or felt, please reach out and let's be together, hopefully in France.
To just kind of jump on the self enlightenment piece and how it lights up the world when it's there. People feel it. People will come up. I know they do that to you. They do it to me. That's great. It happens to me. I was sitting in the car at a little grocery store, little country grocery store, and I was doing something on my phone. And this very large fella who looked Native American comes running across the parking lot and sticks his head in my window. And normally you think, oh, you'd be kind of scared that a man does that. Instead, I said, hi. And he just said, I could feel so much energy coming out of your window, out of this car. And I thought, okay, here's a pickup line. But I thought, wait a minute, he's like 18. You know? But anyway, and then he says, I could feel so much spiritual energy coming out of this car. I had to come over and say, who are you?
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'm still trying to figure that out. And I said, but if you want to know a little bit about me, go to my website, which is shamanicbreathwork.org. And you'll learn a little bit about me and see, that sort of thing. If there's something there. And he says, boy, there's something going on. And that was it. And then he went into the grocery store and that was it. And some of my friends said, you just let a man stick his head in the window and talk to you. And I was like, I didn't have much of a choice. He was like, he just put his head in and this happened. But I think that that's exactly, what you're talking about is this, we are drawn.
Yes.
I mean, he could have been afraid, like, oh, but this one will have me arrested or scream. He didn't. He felt his heart just brought, he said, I just felt it in my heart.
Yes.
May we all be that innocent. May we all be like that open. And when we feel that calling, may we stick our head in the car and say,
Yes.
who are you? And what do you know? And what can I learn? And where can I find you? And I know people can find you with Spirits of the Earth. Is that the best way?
Yes. spiritsoftheearth.com. Yes.
And ours is shamanicbreathwork.org. And together, I think we make a dynamic duo, and throwing Nico into the mix with us when we go.
Yes. Yes. My
Boy,
little brother.
is he in for a journey. But
Yes.
it's been a wonderful interview today, Vera. I really look forward to so many people having the opportunity to take in your wisdom. I feel buzzing from it myself.
Mm.
And we will talk because I'm hoping to see you before France. That's my
Mhm.
prayer. And,
Yes.
and to see your new center, and who knows what we might do in that center, you know.
Mm.
And so until then, you're in my heart, you're in my prayers, you're just a breath away. And
Mhm.
give your beloved there a hug from me,
Thank you.
and keep on shining and being the beautiful heart light that you are in this world.
Thank
And thank
you.
you so much for coming into my life and so many
Mm.
others.
Oh, thank you for being in my life, Star Wolf. I love you. I love you.
Love you too.
Mm.
This is Star Wolf, and you've been listening to the Experiential Aquarian Shaman broadcast. Transform yourself, transform the world. Join me every second and fourth Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio to awaken your inner Aquarian shaman. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to my channel and connect with me on social media at Linda Star Wolf. For more information about my offerings and trainings, visit shamanicbreathwork.org. Thank you for taking this special time to journey with me.